What's up, internet music fans? We are last week's album. My name is Kevin,
I'm Derek.
and we are back again this week with another review for you. Before we do that, we've got some beer to drink. Cheers to everyone at home, and Derek.
Cheers, Kevin. Cheers, listeners.
All right, let's do this. This week we are talking about an album called Hooky by a band called This Frontier Needs Heroes. Little background on the band for you. They are a brother-sister duo, Brad Loretti and Jessica Loretti, and this is their third LP. They have added a bit more of a band vibe into the mix with a few of their friend musicians. Formerly, they were a little bit more stripped down and acoustic, and the brother, actually recently moved from Brooklyn to Jacksonville, Florida, so they kind of finished up the album emailing tracks and layers back and forth, and ultimately brought it to life remotely. So that's pretty cool. Let's jump right into sounds like. Derek, what do you think Hooky sounds like?
Kevin, I think Hooky sounds like Wilco, Fleet Foxes, and the Shins meet up in outer space to make the perfect country, western, and blues intergalactic road trip soundtrack.
Wow. Wow. There's a lot going on there, Derek.
Yes.
All right, mine's a lot simpler. I'm saying this sounds like Americana that's so damn sad it could make George Clooney feel lonely. Check the track list. That joke will make sense later. Derek, what do you got for key tracks?
Great segue. My first key track is George Clooney.
Well, there we go.
Followed by It's Over Now.
All right, well, start us off with George Clooney then on that note.
All right, George Clooney starts off with, would you have it, a sad harmonica, soft acoustic guitar, and some barely there percussion. Layered vocals come in later, weepy slide guitar. It makes for a strong bridge. It's just kind of an interesting song because despite the tongue-in-cheek humor implied by the title and the choruses, the track really takes an interesting perspective on personal satisfaction, yourself, and then even these famous people who, according to This Frontier Needs Heroes, even George Clooney feels lonely, though I don't think he stays lonely for long.
Yeah, I doubt it. I doubt it.
If at all, really. If at all.
Apparently it's based on an interview they read with CNN, so he must have said it at some point. But anyway, we hope he's not lonely anymore. George, we're here for you. My first key track is the album opener and title track, Hooky. It's got, overall, I just call it kind of haunting. It's got these female backing vocals, pensive strings, a simple pulsing drum beat, and these really stream of consciousness lyrics. For example, stop playing Scrabble, there's so many things I want to dabble, which is a nice rhyme in and of itself. And then there's really reverb-soaked solo, and ultimately has a deeper meaning to the title. It's not just that the characters are skipping out on school. They seem to be skipping out on life in general, which is kind of sad. But maybe, Derek, you can bring us up with your next key track.
Kevin, I would that I could. But the next key track I have is It's Over Now. But there is, I guess, a silver lining to this very cloudy segue. Obviously, the song title, it implies talking about a relationship ending. However, despite the darker vibe or connotations of that type theme, it's really kind of a bright song. There's musically, or speaking, there's a upbeat snare drum going, a bubbly bass riff, even a sitar going, and then there's some lofty, layered vocals that just create a very warm, almost nurturing vibe coming out of a breakup, I'm assuming. So overall, it was a very different sound from the rest of the album, obviously with a sitar going, but it didn't sound stretched at all, and really kind of for an enjoyable sound.
All right. Well, my next key track is Trouble, which is the last song on the album. And I really liked it because there was finally something rocking. A lot of this album is slow, plodding, seemingly sad, but as Derek has covered a little bit, these sort of hidden moments of optimism. But I really like this one because it just got after the rocking effect. Blaring electric guitars, boy-girl harmonies, snapping drums. It kind of ultimately sounded like surf rock meets Americana, which is interesting, not something you hear too often. And I thought they just nailed it with a closer. You know, again, doing the opposite here, not just letting you down easily like a lot of closers do, really getting after it. So dug it. Which brings us to best lyric. Derek, what do you got?
Kevin, you know, I'm going to switch it up, and I'm going to go with one from Trouble. Y'all, this talk of downer talk of breakups and whatever, you know, I think he summed it, put an interesting spin on that whole take here in Trouble. He says, so we went for ice cream and called it quits, because we knew tomorrow would be better than this. So it reiterates a lot of what you said on that last key track. It really did rock.
Well, my best lyric is from Lonely Swedish Girl, and it goes, Lonely Swedish girl, though I can't afford a plane, I'll whittle you a boat so I can float all the way to Spain. And then his sister comes in and yells, but that's not far enough, which I thought was like this moment of sort of levity and, I don't know, optimism, as we just talked about. A lot of times these songs get a little too sad, and that one kind of brought it out of nowhere. It just made you laugh a little bit. So, well done. This Frontier Needs Heroes. Derek, what are you giving it overall rating?
I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. Exactly as you said, it could be a little downer at times. However, there were those little glimmers of hope that really stood out. And musically, I was really entertained by this. They kind of have an interesting Americana, rootsy vibe, and at the same time, they kind of introduce some other elements and I don't know, in my mind, kind of added a very unique spin on things. Really enjoyable listen. Looking forward to hearing more from them going forward.
All right, well, we're going to agree to disagree here, Derek. I'm giving it a 2 out of 5. It deals with, as we've mentioned, longing, loneliness, loss, and some very well-hidden optimism, but at times I thought it's a little too much hidden. And Hooky and Trouble, my key tracks, were definitely a nice change of pace, and I think that's why I like them so much. And the album's really lyrically interesting, but overall, sonically, it was just too sad and slow and samey for me. There wasn't enough variety for me personally. So it's a great album if you want to wallow in your self-pity. It's also a great album if you want to really, really dig for those moments of optimism amidst this desperation, if you will. So I'm giving it a 2. These guys do have a cool sound, but this one didn't do it for me. But that's the way it goes here at last week's album, guys. There you have it. We are signing off. My name is Kevin.
Derek.
And we are last week's album, talking about good music. See you next week, guys.